It's the final round of the Manchester Open, and I'm leading the tournament with 4 out of 4. There's 3 players on 3.5 out of 4 in the chasing pack, and then like a ton of players on 3 out of 4. So I'm going into the round knowing if I draw the game, I guarantee first place, at least tied first place. But obviously, I want to win the tournament outright, 5 out of 5, Bobby Fischer style. And my opponent is somebody that I've played before twice, a player called David Spence, a well-known player in the sort of English chess scene. And he beat me when I was a kid, when I was, I think, 13, 14. I later got revenge when I was a couple of years older. I think I got the Iron title and then beat him. And this is our sort of round 3 tiebreaker, if you will. So going to the game, I'm feeling pretty confident. I've got 4 wins under my belt, and I just want to finish the job. Job's not done yet. And we go into a French defense. I play knight d2, which I've learned from Mickey Adams. I think it's a very nice kind of more positional system that you can also play in an attacking style. It's quite flexible. And knight jumps out. I take space and kick him back. And he plays the standard c5. I keep my pawn structure with c3. And then knight comes out to c6. And the developing move, bishop d3. And now in this position, the standard move is bishop e7. And the game can very quickly get a little bit crazy because after castling, there's this move g5, which massively weakens the king side, but it has this very annoying threat of g4, with the idea to kick my knight, which is defending the very important central pawn on d4. And you get into a mess, but I think it's good for white if white plays correctly, but it can be quite tricky. But David plays this move here. He played g6, which is not a mainline move, and I think I figured out why it's not that great in my sort of prep for the game. I had kind of 30 minutes to prep in a nearby cafe because it was a double round day. Well, g6, there's kind of 2 ideas behind g6. One is that you kill the bishop. This bishop's now kind of hitting granite. This is very strong. And also, you're sort of thinking about developing your bishop to g7 and castling. At the same time, it's kind of like a semi-waiting move. And depending on how white plays, like black can react differently. It maintains the flexibility. But one of the problems with with g6 is it's quite slow. Like it doesn't really do that much. It takes 2 moves to develop the bishop rather than 1. And the other thing is this f6 break, I think suddenly also becomes a bit less enticing. But let's see the game. So my prep here is to go immediately h4. And as I mentioned, this bishop's hitting rocks. But if I sort of introduce the idea of h5, then suddenly this bishop could come alive. And I also have the option of playing h6 as well, which would kick his bishop back if he ever goes bishop g7. At the same time, my rook comes into the game. It's just a great multi-purpose move, taking space, activating the rook, softening his king side. And now he plays the move h6, very logical, to meet h5 with g5. And like if I kind of rush into this, he's kind of happy now. Like this position's closed. He's got g4 possibilities, and he's still quite solid. So now this is where my prep kicked in, and I played a4. And it looks quite funny because I'm pushing pawns on both sides. And a lot of modern computers, they just really like these h4, a4 moves, taking space and activating the rooks. And the idea behind this is I actually saw a game between David and another chess master, Richard Putt. I think it was Richard Putt, where this happened. He played queen e2, which is a very, very logical, sort of flexible move. and takes knight b4. This is one of the ideas in the French, and particularly in this line, is get rid of the c3 pawn so that the knight can come to b4. And then after castles, takes. Actually, I think the game went knight b1 here. Yeah, correct. Knight b1 with the idea that the knight on d2 is dominated by this pawn. So we reroute the knight to look at b5. So it goes to c3, which is a much better square. So it goes knight b1 and then takes. And white had a good game here. Even though you give up the bishop, all of black's pieces are relatively badly placed, and you have a space advantage. But what I saw in this game is you play queen e2 and then queen takes d3. So you kind of waste a move. And this was my genius improvement here, a4. And lo and behold, let me show you the game and you'll see why it's so genius. Takes, knight b4, knight b1, takes. I get the same position, but now I have my pawn on a4. And this pawn is much better on a4 than a2, controlling b5 and also eyeing a5. There's some lines where the queen comes out to b6, and I always have this option to push with a5. There's other lines where the bishop goes d7 to b5, no longer possible. And this is great prep by me. Like the computer already says I'm plus 1.2, and I was feeling great at this moment. Okay, knight b8. This is a good plan. It looks strange, undeveloping, but the point is very similar to my knight b1 move. When the knight's on d7, it's dominated by the pawn. It really needs to get to this square. So both knights find their better squares, and then I get castled. And now he plays bishop e7, eyeing up my pawn on h4. And there's a couple ways to sort of react to this. One way is playing h5. But then I think it's very possible. The point is after g takes, these pawns are ugly. But maybe it's not so bad. In the game, I saw he could also play g5. And although I save my pawn, he gets this kind of relatively solid structure. And I maintain the advantage, but it's not that easy to break him down, which is why I played the calm g3. Now the computer actually gives this very interesting option as well, knight b5, to try and sort of attack him straight away. And there's like all sorts of pawn sacrifices with the knight coming into d6. Very interesting, but practically speaking, kind of not necessary when I've got such a nice position. And now he pushed g5. He's which is, it's kind of awkward for him here because, yeah, he probably should develop with bishop d7, but he just has a worse position with less space. So he tries to create something. And now I respond correctly, which is his king is stuck in the middle. So I want to start fighting him. And now I found this great plan. I play bishop e3 over defending the pawn. But the main point is I'm going to connect the rooks. And I'm going to come and beat him up down the h file. So after bishop d7 developing, I play this great move, king g2. The idea is my f1 rook is now connected with the other rook, and I'm just going to come to h1 and challenge his unconnected rook. I get to take over the h file, and I'm just going to beat him up down the file, 2 rooks against 1. So he plays queen b6, and he's one move away from escaping. Because if he castles now, he's kind of okay. He's like one move away from getting a very reasonable position. And I kind of knew like this kind of kill moment was here. And I played rook h1 after 3 minutes, which is a natural move, but it missed an opportunity, which is to take this pawn on g5. Now, obviously I saw I can take this pawn. The point of queen b6, so it loses a defender, which allows me to take the pawn. But the point is that after I take, he takes this big pawn on d4. And strategically speaking, this pawn on d4 is much more important than the pawn on g5 because it kind of holds together my big center. So I need something sort of really concrete to justify me taking this pawn on g5. And I saw this position and I dismissed it because I just didn't know how to play here. Like if I go into the endgame, he's quite happy. Sure, my bishop's very nice, but like there's lines where the bishop comes to c6, he pushes his pawn, and suddenly his bad French bishop becomes an absolute monster. But the key move and idea that I missed here is this beautiful queen maneuver, queen to f3. And the point is that I'm going to stick something in on f6, and it just completely screws them over. So I think I didn't see it because it just looks like I drop a pawn on e5, but I needed to calculate that one move deeper. He can't take with the queen because I go bishop f6, forking here. And then if he takes with the knight, I come in with queen f6, threatening checkmate. And only defense is knight c6. But again, I mess him up with this fork, and it's game over. So yeah, queen f3 here would have been just absolutely killer if I had seen this. And probably I should have spent a little bit more time. Like I've still got plenty of time here. I played rook h1, which maintains the advantage, but it kind of misses the killing blow. And this is where I had a mega think, because I knew this move was mega important. So this is the game. And I saw the idea of bishop g5, and what I was planning to do was I was planning to take on g5 like this, pick, enter in the same line. And now that the rook's on g8, I thought I had this killing blow, queen h7. And it's like super awkward for him because he can't castle, and my queen is attacking the rook. He can't take the bishop because of this this check, which not only skewers the rook, but also, even better, after I check him, he has to drop back to the 8th rank, and my rook comes in, and it's going to be checkmate. So coming back to this position, like I thought I was winning, but the move I had missed, find the defense, break the defense, I found this move, knight to e7, which I just couldn't break it. Like, I can, like, if I take, he takes with the king and the rook defends, and all of a sudden he's back in the game. He's very close to taking over because, as I said before, this bishop, if it gets to c6 and he just pushes the pawn, which I can't block, like, it's pretty much game over for me because the bishop is the best piece in the game. So yeah, I saw this, and I spent ages trying to figure out how to beat this move. And I had the idea to play bishop f6, which is the right move here. But I couldn't assess this position correctly. After bishop c6, it gets very scary because, again, he's 2 moves away. But there's a way for me to play it with knight b5, forcing him to trade, and I do maintain an advantage. So I should have played like this. And again, also in this position, it's not as strong as before. I also had the option of queen f3 again. The difference being the rooks are on g8 and h1. And there's a similar position like this. It's not as killer anymore because I don't have this fork now that his rook's off the diagonal. But if I play knight b5 here, this is still a very nice endgame. I'm a pawn down, but I've got more than enough compensation to have an advantage. So yeah, I missed that. I think I need to push myself on calculation a little bit more. I have been working on my calculation, so hopefully you'll see that come through in my games. Back to the game. So I saw knight e7, and I couldn't break it, so I played rook h7, which computer says is bad. It's not terrible because I maintain an advantage, but it's not great either because now he can castle. I can't take the pawn here, which I saw because bishop e8, and if rook h7, bishop comes out to g6, I'm moving the rook. Probably I can sacrifice here, and it's interesting, but kind of not fully necessary when I've got the advantage. It gets messy. So he castles. He's kind of semi-escaped, but I've still got a nice position. I drop back with the queen d2, because knight b4 is annoying, and I just eye up this pawn. And now he pushes g4, and I want to get this bishop of his. Knight comes into g5, attacking f7. He has to take. And now positionally, I've got a nice position. Here, he actually, here he had an option to do the exchange sacrifice, which I saw was very interesting. And you get a similar position where he's trying to get the bishop here. But now I'm an exchange up, so it's much trickier. What I was planning is queen back to e3 to sort of pin it. And if I trade the queens, I'm much less scared. But he still does have compensation. He missed that opportunity. He played his rook to b8. And now I jump in knight b5. So top move here, knight's coming into d6. He plays the prophylactic king to b8, getting out of the way of the check. And here I, again, miss an opportunity, which is to jump in with queen to f4 and just focus down more on this weakness. And I think I was too focused on his threat, which is he's got a threat to play a6 and take my pawn on d4. But here, what I can do is I can just ignore him because I've got my own threats. I take, and it gets messy very, very quickly. And I need to see, this is quite difficult to see, to be fair, that I'm winning this position a piece down, because you can't take because of queen d6 and checkmate. I'll be honest, I don't think I even considered queen f4 at all. So yeah, not great on my part. But at the same time, the plan I played was not terrible. I played bishop h6 to kick the rook, and then my idea is now I drop back to e3, and I'm improving my bishop and eyeing up on f7. If he comes back, now I was going to jump in with knight d6. But I completely miss his next move, which is pretty bad, considering it's like the only logical move, the only move that keeps him in the game. He plays knight to a5. Great move. And all of a sudden, his knight's like coming in to screw me over. And his bishop like goes from the problem child to Big Daddy Bishop. Like, it's going to take my best piece. And I had to keep composure here because like I can feel I'm losing control. I need to get out of the way of the fork. So queen comes to d3. He jumps into c4. And this is big knight, so I play b3 to kick it. And now he played a6, which I did not expect at all. And I'll be honest, I lost composure here. I was down to 21 minutes. I felt like I was losing control of the situation. And I need to work on my psychological game here. Because I just didn't calculate at all this move. Like, he shocked me. I was like, I've got 21 minutes. I'm just going to play the logical move. I mean, the point is, like, if I take, he recaptures on c4, attacking my queen, and then he recaptures here. And getting rid of this pawn is a big, big win for him, because this bishop, again, becomes amazing. And I saw that and completely dismissed it. Now, the genius move here is after taking, and he takes here. He's temporarily pieced down. Instead of recapturing the pawn, I play my queen to a3. And he's like done here. He's completely done, because now all of a sudden he can't take my knight. Because if he takes my knight, I checkmate him down the file. Sure, he can get his bishop here, but I'm not worried about a lone bishop. I just got to be a little bit careful I don't get checkmated down this file. But the thing is, I'm threatening d5, double attack on the queen and the bishop. So he never has time for this. And if he takes and I take, in fact, even stronger is I go d5 first. Yeah, he's just a piece down here. Like, he doesn't have enough compensation. There's some ways he can create complications. Maybe he puts the bishop in f3. But like if I play accurately here, it's a win for me. So yeah, a6 came. I was shook. Spent a minute and jumped my knight into d6. Second best move, but missing the opportunity. And we end up in this position. He plays f6, and I really was not sure how to assess this position here. But I knew if I'm not careful here, and my feeling's completely correct, if I let him play e5, bishop c6, like he just takes over the game because his bishop will be such a monster on this diagonal. Like me putting my king here at the time was smart, but like if his bishop gets to c6, it just looks dumb. I lose so much time and I'm gonna get checkmated. I play my bishop to f4, defending the pawn, kind of stopping e5. And he played his king to a8, which was a mistake, like another prophylactic move. His time control was pretty good, and I was a bit annoyed here because I had 18 minutes. And here I am ashamed to say I chickened out. I did something pretty terrible here, or for multiple reasons. I played rook e1 and I offered a draw. Now I thought my position was getting bad. I did not have a good objective assessment. I played a bad move as well here, which loses most of my advantage, and I offered the draw. In my defense, like given the tournament situation, I wanted to secure first place. Your boy needs to get some cash. There's £500 first prize, or £375 if I come tied first. But if I lose the game, I basically get zero. Like because I get overtaken. Yeah, I get overtaken by my opponent and another player. And there's first place £500, second place £250. So I played it off at a draw. He had a think. But yeah, this position, what can I say? Rook comes to e8. He's going to play e5. Bishop comes to c6. But I can play like king g1 here, prophylactic, and kind of maintain the balance. And actually, with accurate moves, I should be better in this position. Now, what I really should have played is I should have played rook c1. It's much stronger than putting on e1. I saw these two options. I couldn't figure it out with my sort of time. And yeah, I was scared of bishop c6, e5. This is the sort of lines I'm scared about where this bishop becomes a monster. But the computer is like, yo, YF, you're fine here. You're just chilling. And I guess the point is, even though the bishop's great, none of his major pieces can get into him. But I do have to play accurately. Like if I misstep, like if I play bishop f4, I guess bishop f4 is a terrible move. Like if I end up in this sort of position, it's like game over. Like, yeah, just deadly. But that was two very bad moves by me. But yeah, I've become very good at spotting resources from my opponent, but I need to balance it a little bit as well. Like I need to play with a bit less fear. I think I'm too pessimistic. I'm typically an optimist in life, and I think in chess it's good to be more optimistic than not. But yeah, like in this position, computer plays rook c7, which is a brilliant move. And the point is, I'm gonna sack for this great bishop. And I saw these ideas. I just chickened out. So yeah, ended up on 4.5. Your boy came joint first. Another player on board 2-1. So we got £375. Very annoyed in the last round. But overall, a good result. We gained 1 rating point after those 5 rounds with 24-37 live. And yeah, that's the end of a big comeback tournament for me. Not bad for a comeback. Last round, I needed to be braver. I'm going to be braver going forwards. I need to lose my fear of losing. I'm now in Italy. I'm playing a 9-round open tournament, much stronger tournament. And I will keep you updated. I will see you in the next one.